sort of like begin section, begin death. There we go. All right, we are back, and next up here is I want to be able to have the player run into a spike and die, and then we can reset the game. You know, we'll have a unique message for when we died, and then we'll reset the game, and then we can just do it all over again. This should be pretty easy. We can't jump, so there's going to be no way for us to avoid this spike. But right now, obviously, we're just sort of moving through it. So how are we going to know that we're hitting a spike? Well, currently we can tell, we're probably going to want to query what the next, the cell is. So like the cell that we're in and the cell that's to the right of us. If we can get that information, then I'll be able to do a collision detection between all the objects that are type spike in there. Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. And spike's the only thing I can run into. That's all I need to really do. I think now I can't jump yet. So right now I'll just say, what am I in? Well, let's maybe start with what cell am I in, and we'll see how that feels. In grid, so we have is in same grid location. That's not what I want. Get game objects in cell. That kind of works. Obviously, that's like a very specific cells for this one. So game object move into new cell event, notify. Okay, so this is basically saying here, when you move into a new cell, here's everything that's in that cell with you. We could have the player, and I think the physics is already paying attention to this. Yeah, moved into new cell event, and we get the data, and we're currently checking to see, hey, are you the end? So we can also check else if current cell object.id.type. If you are game data.types spike up, and let's change you to be like one of the types. So game data.types.end. Okay, so if you're a spike, then we want to end the game because we died. So we probably want, so we have a player one event. We want a dead event. But let's first check to see if this works. So console.log, we did. We did definitely happen. So perfect. It happens once as soon as we reach into there, and then we did only happen that one time. It doesn't also happen when we reach the end. So let's go ahead and come into the game here. What's gonna happen? When we die, we're gonna want to call the, let's see. What happens when we die? And that's really going to determine if we're going to put it just in here or more of a global and like pass it around. So in physics, we're going to notify that we've died. So here, we can like prepare for that here. So player died event. Okay, so we died. Let's see. Who cares about this? When we die, we simply just want to change the state of the game. That's going to be very similar to this. So let's go ahead and take care of that here. And then we'll register a listener. What do I have for this? We have died. Okay, perfect. And then in the player physics, we're going to pass in the player died event. And then down here, we're going to have this else, another else if. And this died. So I can definitely see this. We might want to put this into a different file. At the very least, its own function, because it's very repetitive here and very like, I can see a good refactoring for this. So what snarky comment do we want for when we die? We'll just say, really? We'll throw this maybe like minus, I don't know, 5. Don't save. There, refresh. And we get, okay, so we get that really, but we need to stop updating. That's a big deal. How do we get ourselves to not be running before? Because when we do player died, we want, oh, that's in the physics module here. We have this entire player is moving. So when we died, we also want to say this dot is moving. This dot moving equals false again. Let's try that. There. We did. We get this nice, really, we do need to probably pull this a little bit more to the left, text-wise. But, I mean, I think that's fine. And of course I can hit return to play again. No, I can't. So we're in the wrong state here. When we're in key pressed, if we're in enter or re1, we can reset. So I want to say key code enter and one of two things, state is equal to 1 or state game state dot died. So we died, and now I can reset again, and we're all good. And so now we can just do this over and over again because I can't actually avoid us dying. So now we have dying from the spikes. That's perfect. And I think that's a good, let's see, what things should we like refactor before we mark that as done for like can die to the spikes? I want to refactor these two things. And I think now might be a good time for that. I can see now that we're starting to violate the rule of 3. We have a lot of like very similar things going on here, and just like the interface is not the best. So how do I want to do this? I need an interface and to be able to pass in the state, and then it draws, basically what comes out of it. I might be able to put the function down here, but this file is getting a little bit busy. So let's actually create a new file. And we'll maybe call this interface. Okay, bring in the interface. Then in here, I'm thinking we want to like draw the messages. Like if I have just a function, draw interface. If I don't make this as a, if I don't end up making this as any kind of class, I can just call draw interface from draw here, and all of you go straight in here. So we're gonna do draw interface like that, and throw you in here. Now this can be cleaned up quite a bit. Like it abstracts out, it makes game a lot nicer. But let's bring in the state and maybe the game state, like the two things. So we don't need to like know what those exist. So state and game state. Then in here, so whenever I see something like this if, and it's like very similar, like we have this text size. So to me, probably can just do text size out here like this. Fill white is the same across them both. Then we're gonna have this text. And that's the only thing that's really different, is like what this text is. What I want to do here is have an extra, like a lookup table. So this will be sort of like the text to display. Maybe we'll call this display text. I'm gonna make this a lookup table. And what we care about is, so what are you? You're press return to begin. So we're gonna say like, maybe like start or like ready text. And you move down into here. The rest of you is the same. Okay, so now we have two things in here. Although we have this return to play again. So I kind of want, let's return to begin. Let's do 1 is you. Then we're gonna like again. So we'll call this like a reset. And notice that was replaced like here, and then we'll have like death is you. Okay, I think that'll be enough for this this lookup table. So what I really want to do is say, we're going to set the text size, we're going to set the fill to white. If our state is game state not started, then what we want to do is grab the text of what we want to print, and then we want to print them all. I think I can just display them just like this, right? Let's try it. It's going to be display text of position, so not started. This is ready. And that's all I really care about. I don't know if I need to wrap this in a function. I may need to wrap these into functions, which is not a problem. We can still do that. Let's actually try that. Let's comment, delete the rest of you. Let's just say if we're not started, what happens here? Text is not defined. Can't access lexical declaration of display text before initialization. Interesting, that should definitely be access to it. But I think, because like this is draw interface, that's happening in, so it's happening in draw right here. So we're calling draw interface, we're handing it state and game state. But I don't think these are happy. So let's try this. If I turn you into like an actual function, I don't necessarily need to return text. I just need to call text as a method. So if I do that, now are you upset? Oh, you'll be upset because I now need to call ready. There we go. That's how it works. Okay, so if state is equal to GameState.NotStarted, I'm using a lookup table. I can't get away from this if. I wonder. I might be able to get away from it a little bit. So here we have, if we're just in not started, what if I have in here, we have this entire ready. I wonder if I can do this. Use square brackets to denote that this is going to be like a dynamic key. And you're going to be game state dot not started. Then I don't need you at all. I'm just going to say, based upon the game state. So we're going to do display text of game state and run. So if I do that, can't access lexical declaration of display text before initialization. Oh, and game state is not defined in interface. So line 8. Right, okay, I need you to maybe like, oh, right, because so game state isn't defined for us. Like we need to build out the text first, and we don't know what those are. Because we would need to set up what these are. Let's see, game state is down here. So we have essentially this, not started, plain, won and died. I wonder if I should move this into the game data as like potential states. That might be a good idea. So let's try that. If I remove you from here, it's going to break everything. But in here, we're going to have states. Okay, so what are the states that we can have? We have not started, we have plain. I should have just copied that in. Let's just go grab that. Cut you and then delete you. Okay, so we have not started, plain, won, and died. Now we're going to have a whole bunch of errors because it's not looking in the right place for that game state, but I'm not going to be worried about too much right now. In our interface, I don't think we need to pull game state in here. We just need to pull in the state. We need to do this, so we're going to pass in state. We're going to have our display text. So this is going to be game data.states.notStarted is display this text. You are going to be, let's actually comment all of you out until we know that this works. Of course, nothing's going to work because we're going to get tons of errors, but we should be able to do error-driven development here to figure out where the problem is. So game.js line 12. Right, so state equals game state.notStarted. So we want you to actually be game data.states.notStarted. Game state, so line 64. We only need to pass in the state. Press return to begin. Okay, so if I press return, game state is not defined, so that's line 68. Okay, so here is key pressed. So if key code is enter, and state is equal to game state.notStarted, this is going to be okay, there's those. Let's see what else. Line 20. Almost. Display text state is not a function. Okay, so interface line 4. Okay, so here we do display text. We grab state out of here, which should be this thing. And then I do say that it's a function, but I don't think that this really is. So what I need to do is colon, and then set this to be a function. Like so. An anonymous function. I'm doing this instead of an arrow function because I'm going to need the this keyword for like other areas of this. Display text state is not a function. Oh, it's because it's not the right one. We have, wait, it was working. Okay, never mind. Hold on. This is fine. We have the other states. We have to keep in mind all of the other states that we can have here. So we have not started. Plain was next. Plain failed. So let's go back into interface, and we're going to. So if we have plain, we're going to have to handle that. And right now, we're not going to do anything. We're just not going to print anything out. So that allows us to play it, but now we die, and there's no function for that. So that is going to be this death, really. So game data.states.died. Now I want to say really, and then I also want to have this reset display. So I want to do that. And that's how we now, like our lookup table. So we have no if statement in there, which is really nice. Okay, so game state is not defined for, let's see, in game, line 142. So reset that. Okay, now we can reset properly. Okay, that's really nice. And we don't have the ability to win right now. And that's because we don't, like, well, we die. So how do I turn off the fact that we're gonna die? So let's go into physics module here. And let's just go ahead and not die. Then we're gonna move through, hit here, and run into whatever this error is. Display text state is not a function for probably won the game. 1. And that would be you. Okay, so if we won, you won, and then we want to do also this dot reset. There we go. So this, if you're not familiar with using lookup tables in JavaScript, this is such a fun, really cool system to do. You notice that previously we had this really nasty if system, and we might think like, oh, we can clean it up by using a switch statement. But the switch statement doesn't, like, it might make it look a little bit nicer, but it doesn't do something called decreasing the cyclomatic complexity, which is just a fun way of saying the number of different conditionals that you have, where you can now go down different paths. We can now basically say, look, if we pass in a string into state, it's going to grab whatever this is and then run the function for it. And this is complex enough, it can handle all the different combination of states that we have. All we have to know is what they are. I don't even have to hard code what the states are. I can just grab them in and say, look, if it's not started, this is what I want to do. Print that. It's in a function, but I just call it right here. So no if statements, which is super, super, super nice. Highly recommend sort of like trying to get into the habit of, if you have an if statement or some kind of conditional, especially if you're just checking to see if something is like a text or a value, see if a lookup table might not be like the answer for it. It'll make it so much easier to test, so much cleaner. All right, so that's one of our cleanups to do. I think the other one that I want to do is I want to go into the event system. And I want to get rid of this entire events. These are not helpful whatsoever. So we're not going to take in the event. We're just going to take in the data. That's all we really care about. We're just going to take in the data and we're going to send that on through. And that means everywhere where we're passing data, like the event in, we need now to fix that. So let's just go ahead and see if we can find everywhere where event is being used. So in camera, so we have this event, we register the listener, we don't need to take in the event anymore, we just take in the data. Okay, that's that. The draw module, I don't think you have any events. Yeah, I don't think you do. So that should be simple. Event system. That's already updated. Game. There's a bunch of events here. but I'm not completely using all of the events. I mean, I'm not using what was like that event object in many of them. So we're registering the listener, and we're only just checking. Yeah, we're not even caring what comes back in it. Okay, so here we're notifying. We don't need to pass it. We just need to call notify. For that, we're starting the game. And in reset game, yeah, we're not taking anything in. We don't care about the data. Okay, so here's this event. We're passing in an empty string because we were trying to avoid that event thing. We can remove that now. That's done. Game data, we don't care about that. Game object, I don't think we're taking in any events. The grid, we're taking this one event in. And we're using it, so we're notifying. We don't care about notifying with this event. Oh, we're just gonna pass in the current cell. And that was that. Interface doesn't have any events, I don't believe. And in physics modules, we have several events. So let's go and see if we can find everything that has event in here. So we don't care about you as an event. We probably want to turn you back on. Don't care about you. All right, I think that's going to be it. Let's see if we, if everything still works. No, it does not. Events is not defined. Physics modules, line 24. Almost. There we go. And so we can return, and everything is with that. Chad, good morning. Happy Sunday. Welcome to the stream. Awesome to have you here. This never happens. Yeah, it's our schedules don't often line up, it seems. But I think that's true with like a lot of people. I don't stream at like prime times for very many people. It's like before work, which is awkward for everybody in Europe and or the rest of the world, and awkward for everybody over here in the US. Okay, so this is all good. Let's go ahead, and I don't think there's anything else I really care about refactoring for part of this. So let's go ahead and open up, get cracking, and we're gonna send this code. Is prime time for someone overseas? No, I think it's like I don't know when normal good streams are. All right, so we are player can die and reset the game. I'm gonna go ahead and push that code up, and for everyone who's right here, I have a command bang repo, and that will allow you to sort of go take a look at that code, comment on it. If you're watching, asynchronously with the VOD, I'll have a link to this code in the description. And so with that, I think we're going to end this video from where we now can die from spikes and reset the game. So